Bailout was one of the key issues in the budget speech. Now, besides struggling to keep the lights on, Eskom owes around 420 billion rand to its creditors.
And Eskom's performance affects the South African economy profoundly, including our credit rating. Government has been under pressure from Labour to save jobs and to ban the privatisation of SOEs. But Mboweni took a different stance. Let's bring up a second quote. The SOEs pose a very serious risk, he said, to the fiscal framework.
Funding requests from SAA, SABC, Denel, Eskom and other financially challenged state-owned enterprises have increased, with several requesting state support just to continue operating. He said, isn't it about time that the country asked the question, do we still need these enterprises? If we do, can we manage them better? And if we don't need them, what should we do?
Let's hear what our very own Nompumelelo Siziba said. She was in Cape Town for that all-important budget speech.
In the meantime, consumers are not going to benefit, or at least taxpayers are not going to benefit for an adjustment in the inflation rate in terms of the pay brackets, and that's unfortunate. It means we're not going to get any extra money in our pockets as we've been used to in the past. And this is, of course, because government needs to take advantage as much as possible to try and get revenue. It wasn't able to impose extra increases on the personal income tax or corporate tax, and indeed on VAT in an election year. It's unlikely that they would have done that. But of course, they managed to address the issue of the public service wage bill. That's been an ongoing problem. And what Tito Mboweni announced was that people are going to be allowed to leave the public service without any penalty. So they'll be able to get their pensions and so on and leave. And in that way, they'll be able to reduce some of the numbers and obviously be very careful about the people that they're employing into the public sector and so on. Of course, consumers now have to face higher sin taxes, but that was inevitable. That's low-hanging fruit for the National Treasury in being able to raise extra funds. You know what to do if you don't want to pay those extra taxes. Just give up those unhealthy habits. And of course, generally speaking, we saw that across the board, there were mixed feelings about the budget. Many people describing it as a reformist budget. There was really not much room for the finance minister to move. But I think, of course, the big concern is the fact that our budget deficit is going to widen to 4.5%. That's very negative. That means higher debt. And of course, it means that our debt service costs as well are also likely to rise. The question being asked is, how are the likes of Moody's going to react to this outcome? Well, only time will tell. They're supposed to come out with the report on the 29th of March. But of course, they're at liberty to come out with the report even sooner. But what they've indicated to the market is that they'll let us know on the 29th of March what their decision is. Some people suggest that maybe they'll wait for the elections on May the 8th, see what the outcome is there, what sort of mandate is given to President Cyril Ramaphosa, assuming he wins, assuming that the ANC wins, and then take it from there. But for now, it's just lots of questions and speculation. We have to wait and see. Now, why do we care about what Moody's thinks? Well, if they decide to give us a negative outlook, the next step thereafter will be a downgrade if they're not satisfied with the economic policy of the country. And that has all sorts of ramifications in terms of people deciding to sell out of South African assets, which would result in the rand depreciating and result in inflationary pressures for the country. And of course, we don't need that, given the fact that we need the country to grow.
As Nompumelelo Siziba from Parliament.